Welcome. Our today's topic is Abraham Moses Klien's Indian Reservation Caughnawaga, a poem published in 1945. Poem is having seven lines each in five stanzas, a total lines 35, and this poem is a critique on the modern colonization of natives by the white people. Colonization is not only of land but also of mind, and this poem is a burning hint of it. The very first line defines or questions where are the braves, and the very ending line questions those braves as the pious, prosperous ghost. In the first line, the question is about the lost people, as these people are under the impact of modernization and getting good education or modern education and moving to France with new French name and rejecting their culture. That is why for the narrators they are the prosperous ghost, because they are away from their culture. The main theme of this poem is the preservation of culture of a community Caughnawaga, living tribes in America. So this questions how tribes are losing their culture. For comparison, one can move back to William Shakespeare's play, The Tempest. Here, the Caliban is teaching or is taught new language, new culture, and the way to behave morally and respect other people. Similarly, like the Caliban, new education policy is given to the tribal people, and now they are learning, they are going to the outer world and serving people instead of continuing their tradition work. Now they are gathered around churches for some money. Earlier they dance in Jolie to celebrate the wedding or ceremonies of their friends, but now they are just dancing not for enjoy but to earn money from the white people gathered around the church. They dance for them. This is why we can this way we can say the modernity is destroying their culture. The culture of preservation is most important. This is uh, theme of this novel, and this defined in the very first stanza. As we say, this is a five stanza poem with seven line each. In the first paragraph it question where are the braves, means the older generation what we have, and it shows them in light of Aesop fables where characters speaks, and there were running deers, black bear, old buffaloes had on the head of their monosyllabic chief. And this way it is defining the whole history or the concept of culture. And the second paragraph is the impact of modern education, and childhood is defined how they wished with the French name, uh, or in the second they are going to school with modern education, and instead of their traditional weapons they are moving with the class within the classroom with chalk and learning new education. This is how they are forgetting their culture, their name, their tradition, and everything. Now whatever they have is reserved as not in their culture or memories but in calendars. And the third what we have is a kind of strange. In the first we see the history, in the second paragraph they are getting new education. Now what is impact is seen in third paragraph. Now they are changing their name, and they are not going for hunting in the forest for living. Rather they gathered around churches, and they dance for the white people, and they earn money, and with this they survive. This is how we are seeing that these tribes are introduced to modernity. And for a comparison we can go to Andaman and Nicobar's Jarwa tribes. This is India's tribe, one of the oldest in the world that migrated from some part of Africa. But today, they are under the impact of modernization. They are losing their culture. Now, whenever some outsider visits their land, they are guided to them. They are given high tech things, modern batteries for night, ropes, and other surviving things. Their cooking style is totally changed. This is how a culture is destroyed. And similarly, if we go to the Gonda tribe of Madhya Pradesh and somewhere in Bihar, the lifestyle of these is nearly changing. As we know, the oldest time, 1835, Thomas Babington Macaulay gives education theory for India's perspective, which says if you want to destroy a culture, introduce your language, your culture, your tradition, and the second and third paragraph of the poem is a hint of it. Their education, their language, their culture is introduced, and now people starting to believe their own culture is inferior. And this is how there comes the colonization of mind. So colonization is of two type of land and mind. Land, we know the colonizers will exploit the traditional sources or the sources of land, but through the colonization of mind, they slave their generation, not of the current but also of the future. And this second and third paragraph is a hint of it. And what is impact of this when you are coming under the grip of this modern colonization of mind? You lost their culture, and the fourth paragraph is a hint of it. And it defines very well that now their past is sold on soaps. Like they have a past, glorious past, which they live, believe, and have a happy, joyful life over there. But now their culture is recorded in books, articles, and which are now sold in the book soaps. People are reading their past and life and feeling amazed by it, that how they survive. But in reality, in modern time, we see their culture is destroyed by the introduction of modernization and modern education. This education pattern is changing them, and now they hate their culture. And similarly, we can go back to the older again, Thomas Macaulay's education on minute, and it is also saying things they will hate. And in case of India, although this poem has nothing to do with India, but I am quoting Indian example to say, like in the end of education on Macaulay's, it says, I want to prepare such type of people which would be Indian by color but British by blood. And similarly, in this poem, Indian reservation Caughnawaga, we are having such type of people. They are adopting more modern name, French name. They are rejecting their names. This is how the culture is destroyed. But the author want a kind of preservation. For him, it is very sad that modern generation is forgetting their old culture. That is why author recalls or call these modern generation as a part of modern ghetto, and or you can say grassy ghetto. In the older time, we see that Jews are reduced to ghettos, and we can literally examine it through William Shakespeare's Merchant of Venice, and in real life too, these merchants, these Jews are not allowed to enter in city after 5 o'clock. Similarly, in America, black people are not allowed to visit after 5 o'clock. They are reduced in to some boundaries, and they cannot cross them. And you can read it or through the life of Don Shirley, who was a jazz pianist of America in 1950s and 60s. We also have a lecture in our group. You can also watch it. And this is the impact that author is saying or the poet is saying that now our history is lost. In the fifth stanza he comes, either it is sold in book shops or our older symbols are now in museum. We do not have with ourselves, it is snatched from us, and we are without them. And now if you want to see our past, don't come to our village, our area, go to museum. Everything is preserved there, and it is more like a cryptic. Now younger generation can be compared with the dead, that is nearly dead, like the animal furs at the older age. Their hard strong bones are now galvanized and they are bleached, and author or the poet is seeing them as a prosperous ghost, because they are not the older one who used to be brave warriors, and now they are just mere shadow of the ghost, prosperous ghost. Why they are prosperous? Because they are now educated, they prefer dignity, a different kind. Their culture has no value, and they are happy to dance around the modern man and earn money. They do not go out for a different kind of aspect. They forget everything, and now everything is lost for them, and tradition is lost to colonizers, not only of land but also of mind. And the red Indian civilization is now a saleable commodity. And once you read Vinay Lal's lecture, a professor at the University of California, Los Angeles, he says that when Hitler was executing Jews, what he has dreamed for them, and he said that once he eliminated all Jews for Germany, he will create a museum in the memory for Jews. And similarly we are seeing here the Caughnawagas tribes is on the verge of destruction, but their literature can be found in museum and bookstores. Although they are real, but nothing is to them, and their life, their nature, their area, and even their culture is limiting, and it is dying day by day, and result is to either modernization or the colonization. So this is how the poet is saying that lower caste or lower class or lower people or the traditional one are ruled by the higher class. Their freedom is taken from them and modern colonization is given to them. This is a similar like ghetto. Getting modern education, modern name is like a ghetto. Once you enter it, you will not come out of it. It is a labyrinth to entangle people. Once you enter, you cannot come back. So people here can also see the impact of colonization. Their culture is destroyed and there is church, and all the people are gathered around church. This is another aspect of colonization, to spread their religion among them. In overall, what we find, this poem as a post-colonial poem is having all its characteristic. It is defining those things which we cannot explain or understand at the time of colonization, but the weakness that the narrators saw in this poem is that modern generation is not coming out of this ghetto, but it is not explained, not the tale of all poems. And if we go the Judas poem, which is also here in our lecture, whatever the weakness of modern generation are not accepted in accepted by Judas. He revolt against the Christ as a post-colonial member or a member of tribe who was not given respect, and such is also explained by the narrator in Indian Reservation Caughnawaga, that common people are not given respect. What they have, that there would come some time when they revolt, and they revolt like Judas, as Judas does in the earlier one, Marvin Morris poem. And this Judas is Judas has seen how his culture is destroyed by colonization, and such way modernization has impact at least on the tribal culture. Now they are losing everything. What they left is just a hope and shadowy thing of past they can remember, but this remembrance will not bring anything. If we look at some tribes in India, they are given modern things, modern utensils, modern technique, modern machines and other things to make their life easy, but in that sense they are forgetting their tradition, their culture, and we cannot save it for sake of people. And this is how what we do, that we have to respect those culture and let them live in their way. Introduction of any type of new thing is loss of their tradition and culture, and all coexistence of culture will come when they are given the complete freedom they deserve. They are part of their culture. We should follow Australian tradition where tribal are having their own church, but it will follow the rules of the modern church, sorry, modern court of Australia. Whenever there is a crime from in Australian tribe, one person of their representative will sit in church and give their verdict according to the rule of there. And this is how culture can coexist. No need to destroy their culture by introduction of modern education, culture, tradition, or whatever. So the thing is that to take care of them equally and let them live in the way they are, their culture is also more important. And with this, thank you. If you like our video, do like, subscribe and share it with your friends. Your sharing is more important and it will help us to get more subscriber, and our channel can reach to the larger audience. And with this, thank you, take care.